I didn't expect you to care about me, Doctor. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll leave when the time is right, but now is not the time. Azalea smirked. I'm just giving you advice. The specifics are up to you. Dustin left it to her to decide instead. Come now. Leave me a memento. Azalea spread her arms as if she was ready to be slaughtered. Dustin was helpless. He had no choice but to pick up a dagger and stab her in the chest. His aim was precise, avoiding any lethal areas and sensitive parts. Azalea hissed. That really hurt. You got stabbed for no reason, of course, it hurt. Dustin took out a pill and handed it to her, saying, This is Hematrol. It'll help you heal faster. Take it when you see fit. Thanks, Doctor. Azalea smiled sweetly. It appeared as if she remembered something as she suddenly said, Oh, right. It'll be the new year soon. Ask the Harmons to be careful. They might have a difficult year ahead. My mentor, the Dark Lord, has arrived at Millsburg. He might even step in personally. I understand. Thanks for the warning. Dustin nodded thug. Was the Dark Lord finally appearing after laying low for so long? They could take the necessary precautions soon. The next morning, at Nicholson Corporation, Dahlia woke up groggily and found herself lying on the sofa of her office. She was covered with a thick blanket, and there was even a steaming glass of milk on the table beside her. Last night's events were still fuzzy to her, and she rubbed her head, which was throbbing slightly in pain. Feeling parched, she picked up the glass of milk and finished it in one go. It made her feel warm inside, giving her a slight relief from the discomfort she was feeling. Dahlia, you're awake. At that moment, Dustin walked in with the breakfast that he had just bought. Why are you here? Dahlia's brows creased into a frown, and her expression turned cold. I didn't know where you lived, so I brought you back to your office for the night. As he was talking, he took out a takeaway container with a full English breakfast inside as well as a bowl of chicken soup. I'm asking why you are here. Dahlia asked in exasperation. Have you forgotten about what happened last night? Dustin was confused. Last night. Dahlia recollected her thoughts, and last night's events became clearer. She remembered being drugged and found herself tied up when she woke up. Her kidnapper had intended to threaten Dustin with her, but it seemed like their plan had failed. It's all right if you don't remember. The drug is still in your system, so you'll feel groggy for the time being. Here, eat up first. Dustin passed the steaming hot chicken soup to Dahlia. Go away. I don't need you putting on an act here. Dahlia was ruthless as she slapped the bowl of chicken soup to the ground. Her tone was frosty as she said, Don't think I'll be grateful to you just because you saved my life last night. You murderer. She couldn't act like nothing had happened when her brother passed away a few days ago. Dustin shook his head. Dahlia, your brother's death has nothing to do with me. They saw you. My mother saw you. Are you telling me they are lying? Dahlia bellowed. They only saw what happened on the surface. They're not aware of the truth. Dustin turned. Solemn before he continued, I did beat James up, but that doesn't mean I killed him. He was poisoned to death. Someone is trying to frame me and get in between us. Fine, you said you were framed. Where's the evidence? How are you going to prove your innocence? Dahlia questioned. I found the murder weapon. And I have your brother's autopsy results. You'll find that it is suspicious if you examine it in detail. Dustin took out the evidence he carried with him constantly and displayed it in front of Dahlia. This is just a piece of paper and a needle. Do you think I'll believe you with just these? Dahlia remained unyielding. An autopsy report could be fabricated with money. It was not persuasive whatsoever. Dahlia, we've been married for 3 years. You should know my character. I've never done anything to hurt you, Dustin said seriously. 2. I used to think I knew you well. However, I've come to realize that I can't see through you at all. Dahlia's expression was icy. The more she interacted with him, the more she found him shrouded in a veil of mystery. No matter how hard she tried to unravel his true intentions, she was unable to read him. This was exactly why she struggled to trust him. Dustin lifted 3 fingers. Dahlia, I swear, I didn't kill your brother. What's the point of saying all this? Everyone thinks you're the murderer. I can't forgive you. Please, get out. Dahlia pointed at the door, ordering him to leave. She was afraid that her resolve would weaken if he continued speaking. Despite her lingering feelings for Dustin, she couldn't forgive him on behalf of her late brother. Dahlia, I'm doing all I can to find the murderer. Just give me a little more time. I'll definitely be able to prove my innocence. Dustin swore. Are you still trying to argue at this point? Dahlia gritted her teeth. If you had repented sincerely, you may have had a chance. But you're not only escaping responsibility, you're making up all kinds of excuses right now. I'm really disappointed in you. I don't want to see you ever again. Leave immediately. What exactly do I need to do for you to believe me? Dustin furrowed his brows. You want me to believe you? Fine. If you jump down from here to prove your innocence, I'll believe you. Dahlia spat out in a fit of anger. Since they were on the 30th floor, anyone who jumped down from that height would not be able to survive. Dahlia was trying to get Dustin to back down and leave. All right, I'll jump. Dustin nodded. Without hesitation, he turned and crashed through the full-length glass window, hurtling down from the 30th floor. Dahlia stood frozen on the spot, her mind blank with disbelief. The words had only escaped her lips in a fit of anger. She never would have imagined that Dustin would follow through with her demand. Dustin! Dahlia screamed after returning to her senses. She rushed toward the shattered window and looked down. Dustin had vanished from sight. She knew that no ordinary person would survive such a bone-shattering fall. Her legs gave away, and she collapsed to the ground with a thud. While she sat on the ground, she could not hold back her tears. Why? Why did it turn out like this? Dustin, why did you jump? How can you be so foolish? What am I supposed to do now that you're gone? What should I do? Dahlia sobbed uncontrollably, her tears streaming steadily down her cheeks. She was filled with regret. She regretted her impulsive words that were spoken in the heat of the moment. She regretted not trusting Dustin, and she regretted forcing him to prove his innocence by taking his own life. Ultimately, she was the cause of his death. Dustin, I believe you. I believe you now. Come back. Please, come back. Dahlia was so distraught, she was weeping bitterly. She longed for everything to be a dream, wishing that it was all just an illusion. As long as she woke up, Dustin would be standing before her once again. This is my fault. I caused your death. My brother is gone, and now you're gone too. There's no reason for me to continue living. Wait for me, I'll meet you soon. Dahlia staggered to her feet, moving toward the windows with a determined expression. Hey, where are you going to meet me? Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice behind her. At that moment, she froze, thunderstruck. Her eyes widened, and she stiffly turned her head around. Dustin had just leaped down the building moments ago, but now he was standing unscathed. Before her. She froze. Doubting her own eyes, she rubbed them. Wasn't he dead? How did he come back to life? Don't worry. I'm not dead. However, you can't go back on your words now. You said you believed me. Dustin smiled gently. As soon as he said that, Dahlia flung herself heavily into his arms. You lunatic. You're a real lunatic. Who told you to jump? Don't you cherish your life? Do you know how worried I was? What would I have done if you had died? Tears streamed down Dahlia's face as she pounded relentlessly on Dustin's chest with both fists, taking out her pent-up grievances on him. But it didn't satiate her anguish, and she sank her teeth forcefully into his shoulder. In the end, she hugged him tightly, afraid that he would suddenly vanish into thin air. All right, that's enough. Stop crying. Can't you see I'm alive and well? Dustin patted Dahlia's back, consoling her. This was the first time they were wrapped in such a tight embrace. Dustin could not only smell the natural body scent she emanated, but he could also feel her voluptuous breasts pressing against his chest. It distracted him momentarily.